Representative Carpino, to be followed by Representative Davis, to be followed by Senator Boucher.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Over here.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. I represent thousands of children in my district, as do all of my colleagues, and I support raising the standards and increasing all opportunities for their educational success. However, as both a legislator and as a parent, I have a number of concerns with Common Core. They range from the use of technology for third graders to doing too much too quick to the detriment of our students and our educators. But I only get one question, so here it is. And don't worry, I will follow up with the Commissioner for the rest.
This is working out well.
Yes. I personally have a kindergartner, so I'm very in touch with the elementary school parents. And a concern that has been raised by both educators as well as parents is how age appropriate this is, particularly at the elementary level. There are concerns that I have heard, and I know many of my colleagues have, surrounding developmentally appropriate, whether it's technology or standards. What has been done specifically for Connecticut students and parents to address those concerns?
Very good. So in terms of Connecticut, I will let the Commissioner answer for Connecticut because, you know, it's be inappropriate for me to do this. I'd like to talk a little bit about, in writing of these standards, we had extremely high number of early childhood experts involved in this. I will tell you, though, based on feedback I've received from multiple states, it sounds like we need to work harder in this area. So what I would suggest to you is the current set of standards are developmentally appropriate. They just are. We have several experts that we could walk them through here and testify in front of you. At the same time, we need to make sure we're taking that feedback and that as we update these standards going forward, we make sure we're not aiming to a place that we wouldn't be able to hit. So I'm happy to take a follow-up if you'll allow it, but I can tell she wants to.
Not a follow-up because I don't think it permitted. I just wanted to say thank you because that is a concern. We don't want an entire generation of students to be guinea pigs.
Yeah, I think that's great.
And Commissioner Pryor, since there was a Connecticut element to the question, do you want to add anything regarding developmental appropriateness as it comes to rollout in Connecticut?
Sure. I think that there were 2 points about Connecticut, Mr. Chairman, the technology and the developmental appropriateness. On the technology front, there's 2 elements, I would say. There's the readiness in terms of hardware and bandwidth, and then there's the readiness of our youngsters. On the hardware and bandwidth front, we've taken extraordinary steps to ensure that districts are ready. You know, increasingly, when I visit classrooms, I'm sure you all visit classrooms in your districts, and as the educators of our state tell us daily, increasingly hardware is becoming helpful. When you walk in and you see iPads or Chromebooks at youngsters' desks, you see them engaged with that equipment in ways that we couldn't have imagined 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I used to be a bit of a Luddite about this question. I used to think that technology was oversold and that we ought to focus on the fundamentals. I think the two are not mutually exclusive any longer. Technology has caught up, and it is an invaluable tool in the classroom. And as pertains to the smarter balanced assessments where they are computer-based, that's an enormous asset. It's an asset for 2 reasons. One is that it enables the assessment, when it's fully operationalized, to be adaptive, to actually diagnose the strengths and weaknesses of youngsters better. And I can say more about that. So, but having said that, on the readiness of the technology itself in terms of hardware and bandwidth, the governor, with your support in the General Assembly, and we're grateful, has provided $24 million in additional capital expenditure from the state to help districts get ready. So districts across the state are very carefully tabulating where they are, calibrating where they need to be, and making new investments in technology. Now, having said all of that, I think it's worth it, and I think we've provided the resources. There's a new $10 million being proposed for technology this year to even get districts across the line if they have to do more. What about our youngsters' nimbleness with the technology? What I hear in the way of reports from parents and from teachers is that very often our students are more comfortable with a keyboard than they are with pencil and paper these days. You know, youngsters are so familiarized with their phones and with their computer keyboards, and it's so instrumental to their learning process that, not in every case, but very frequently it's what students gravitate to. It is also the future, so I think it makes all the sense in the world that that's where we're going. We are certainly open to a conversation about whether there's more preparedness that the State Department of Education can offer on that point, but that would be my initial response, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Very helpful.